Hello, everybody. The Warm back again with Raging Loop. Last time we started the game, and so not much has happened yet, of course. We are in the perspective of. Let me see if I have it. Okay, I'm going to try this. Haruaki Fusaishi. Okay, it's probably going to take me a while to get used to these names. And we have met up with. Is it Chiemi? I need to hear it again. It's either Chiemi or Kiemi Sarazawa? Okay. Um, just to give a quick recap, more for myself than anything else. Haruaki is a, I believe, 24-year-old college student from Tokyo University. I suppose from Tokyo. And he appears to be going out, just taking a trip out into what seems to be rural Japan. And at least part of his motivation for doing so seems to have been something went wrong, and he seems to want to just get away from it all. At least that's the sense I'm getting. He did make some comments that made it seem like he may have been in a past relationship, and maybe that went wrong, and that could be part of the reason he is out here now. It's hard to say without hearing more about it, but in any case, here he is. Also, I didn't realize we have this rain sound effect. I didn't realize it was raining. I guess it's raining. In any case, he's taken this trip out of town, and he got lost, and he was unable to navigate the map, but was fortunate enough to find a convenience store where a rather rude cashier gave him directions to the nearest town or village, and he seems to have arrived there. But he is not here unscathed. Both he and his motorcycle took some damage after the paved road ended, and the cashier did not warn us about that. We just basically it was a complete surprise. We fell and got hurt because of it. In any case, he began to wander towards a light he saw, crossed a stream, and found the light. It was a kind of work flashlight, and it seems to belong to this Chiemi Sarazawa, was it? And she has offered to take him to the town and even to room with him, I believe, at least for tonight, which is a very kind gesture to do for a stranger. Of course, you have to. A question that immediately comes to my mind is why is she out very late at night, and what was the circumstances that led to her dropping that light there. Way too early to start guessing, on the what our trajectory is, or how soon things are going to go crazy. But yeah, so I'm just assuming we're going to be in the. We're kind of still in the introduction, and I think we're going to be here for quite a while, because I think we got to set up where we are and who all our characters are. So here we are. We're back at the, I guess, the town, and she's shown us to her apartment building, which is interesting that there's an apartment building. I thought we were going to like a small town, but I guess it might be a bit bigger than I thought it would be. Let's continue on, shall we? Looks good. Okay. Also, she lived on the second floor in room 202. Ah, here we go. Nah, no wonder I was surprised. I'd heard some raindrops as we were climbing the rusty stairs, but now it was really pouring. Between that, the darkness, and the large tree right next to the building, it was nearly impossible to see what was going on outside. Excuse me. It felt like I was alone in a world of nothing but walls, the door, and the fluorescent lamp above my head. It made me feel somewhat helpless. I guess we left our bike behind. Presumably, we left it because we'd have to cross the stream again, and it could just be difficult to walk with it all the way here, so... hopefully we'll get it tomorrow. I distracted myself by imagining her changing. Ah, I see he's getting a head start on where... Well... He needs some way to distract himself from the pretty unfortunate circumstances he's been in up till now. Eventually the door opened up. All smiles, she showed herself, now wearing her sports clothes. This was kind of exciting. Careful, bud. Empty, huh? Yes. Chiemi Sarazawa, looks like. Still don't have really a handle on who Haruaki is as a character yet. We're gonna have to see going forward.
でも冷蔵庫の中はほら
素晴らしい
飲みますか
やったぜ
Ooh. Do we have alcoholic beverages in here? How unwholesome. Yeah, her place really was empty. It was just a small room with a low table in the middle, a fridge near the door, and a large duffel bag deeper in. There were 2 old-looking bookshelves too, but they were completely empty. I wasn't bothered one bit, though. Any girl's room was a wonderland to me.
じゃあ大変だった春明さんにお疲れ様
地獄で出会った仏様に乾杯
Kanpai. We opened our cans, knocked them together, and downed them. Hey, it was actually pretty good. The pleasant bitterness and the refreshing carbonation made for a good combo.
おいしいこのためだけに生きてる
その若さでそれはないでしょ
う She's 21, he's 24.
言い過ぎた愛や将来にもまだ絶望してません
ところが就活という影が迫る
いややめてせっかくのビールがまずくなる
She laughed and took a huge sip. It was pretty clear she could hold her drink. That aside, something really bothered me.
お誘いに乗っておいてなんだけど
何
Her cheeks were already red. Maybe she didn't handle her liquor as well as I thought. She had a well-featured face, and I didn't think it was wrong to consider her beautiful. Sure, her clothes weren't the least bit sexy, but I could tell she had some makeup on.
僕は完全に正体不明の自称迷い人だよね
そうね
君は年頃の女性今は深夜ワンルームの密室で男と二人っきり
It is...
その上アルコールまで入ってしまった
Yes, it does feel a bit, This is happening somewhat quickly, it feels.
おお
身の危険を感じたりとかは
She kept gulping the drink even as she formulated a response. The very fact that I could just watch her do this made this a pretty risky situation, and yet...
あんまりないかな
それは
芹沢千恵美クイズ
So yeah, Chiemi, I think.
イエーイ
問題ふと気づいたら低層が瀬戸際にもかかわらず芹沢千恵美は特に身の危険を感じないなぜでしょう
Because you have a gun taped to the underside of this table. What a fun girl. This only made me like her more, increasing the danger even further.
質問 OK?
どうぞ
僕のことがいい人っぽいという答えはなしでいいかな
悪い人に見えるってわけじゃないけどまあなしかな女の子慣れしてそうだし
Give me 1 second. Okay, back. That unintentional compliment showed that she actually did see me as a potential danger.
考えられる回答は大きく2つ想定外だが何が起きても問題ないもしくは想定通り
む？
前者はいろいろ考えられるかな。例えばちえみちゃんが何かやけっぱちになっていてどうにでもなれって場合、あるいは十分な自衛手段がある、実は護身術の達人で僕なんか軽く乗せるとかね。
おー、論理的。春明さん理系だね。
まあそうかな。一方で後者、つまりこの状況が君の想定通りって場合は、
例えば私がエロエロですとか。
Wow. Talk about not mincing words.
酔っ払ってきたな。さて、他には何があるでしょう。
Indeed. What other reason could a woman have to bring a stranger to her home? Would surely be something non-standard like...
僕の存在が君の利益になる例。例えばアリバイ工作、君がここにいたと後日僕が証言することで君が有利になる。
Oh my goodness, are you a mystery novel reader, Haruaki?
おー、ちゃっかり利用するわけだ。
Or we could go the other route that she just wasn't thinking and didn't care.
あるいはちえみちゃんが恐るべき殺人鬼で僕を酔っ払わせてぶっ殺す。
That too, I guess?
はあ、ヤマンバいいね。ブッシュブッシュ殺しちゃう。
What kind of sound effect was that?
ちなみに前提で出た2つのケースの他に1つある。
あれ抜けてた？
うん、私がとってもいい人で春明さんを助けてあげたい一心だっていうケース。
The wholesome route. Was it time for me to be ashamed by my filthy mind?
いやでもそれで自分が襲われるかもって考えたら。
わあ、襲うって言っちゃったよこの人。
一般論ね。
She stopped talking and turned red. It was so cute, I thought she was actually doing it on purpose. Man, she was drunk. And we were just on our second cans.
じゃあこういうのは止めないともっとひどいことになる。それはさすがに忍びないなとか。
Something worse? Like what?
ごめん、もうちょっと詳しく。
この辺りには怖い野生動物が出ます。明日にはこの人はズタズタに引き裂かれてしまうかもしれません。
I see.
このまま見捨てたらとても寝覚めの悪い思いをするかもしれません。それならまあ止めてあげようかしら。
なるほど、リスクと善意を天秤にかけるってわけか。これは想定外。
想定外か。この人だいぶ悪い人なんじゃないかって気がしてきたな。
え、そ
だって善意を選択肢に入れる前に殺人鬼とかアリバイとかエロエロとかさ。
Fair enough.
う？ヘロエロは君が言い出したんでしょうが。
そうだったっけ？で、答えは？
これって単なるバカ話じゃないの？
正解者には素敵なプレゼント。不正解者はブッシュブッシュ殺します。
Is this going to be a choice? I'm curious, because we had a choice in the very beginning, and quite a few of the things I've played that we've not had a wide array of choices early on, so I'll be interested to see. Seriously? Oh my goodness. Okay. Desperate, alibi, thirsty perv, you'd feel guilty if you let me die. And apparently we have a key answer here. How about that? Key 20. The first key I saw was 4, I think. My goodness, how many are there? She brought up this one, but then purposefully made it a question instead of confirming it. I like wholesome. Let's try the wholesome answer. Oogie. Oh, cool.
まあ実際この辺危ないしね。鹿にイノシシに野犬にクマ。
My goodness.
鹿とイノシシは実際見たけど、クマもいるの？
月の輪だけどね。あんまり多くはないけど、昔襲われた人もいたし、
Moon bears.
ちょっと外は危ない。
This the game did start out saying that there's going to be information that is not correct, but I am also unfamiliar with Japan just as a place, so I'm not sure what they're referring to, but it could be real or it wouldn't be. I wouldn't have any idea, so I'll take her word for it.
なんてワイルドな。
でも本当にヤバい動物は他にいるけどね。
なんだろう。クマよりヤバい動物？
ヘビ、サル、カラス、クモ。
Crows. That's an interesting one. Why crows? Huh? Are they venomous or something? I really doubted that. Those really didn't seem worse than bears. Well, snakes, that'd worry me. Spiders, potentially. You know, there's some places in the world where those spiders are really, poisonous. Monkeys and crows, though, I'm a bit more like chimpanzees can be deadly, certainly. Monkeys, usually smaller, less so, but potentially dangerous, I guess. Crows is an odd one out of that group of four for me. I'm not really sure about that.
あと、狼。
Wolves, certainly, yeah.
日本には狼はいないでしょう。
Oh, I see. Interesting trivia there.
いるかもよ。こんな田舎には。
She smiled and drank out of the third can.
まあ理由がどうあれ、まんまと美女宅に侵入を果たした春明さんは自分が狼になっちゃうのかな。
やめとく。
紳士、もう一本あげちゃ。
I wasn't too sure, but I felt like she dodged the subject. Perhaps I wasn't being cautious enough. But then again, I'd been wandering aimlessly for a long time by now. I had enough recklessness in me to enjoy sharing a drink with a cute, if shady girl. Okay, you gotta appreciate the nice things in life, right? It is now Monday. Okay. Start of the week, pretty much. The last thing I remembered was our little "when was the last time you pissed yourself while sleeping" talk. That's right. I had to tell her about the time I got so drunk I wet my pants in the middle of the boarding house. She laughed so hard, she started frothing at the mouth and passed out. I woke up with a splitting headache. Oh man. The morning already. Light poured in through the frosted window. I pulled out my phone and checked the time. 7 in the morning. I'd gone to sleep somewhere between 2 and 3, which wasn't quite enough sleep. At least I didn't wake up to some horror movie scene, and the building wasn't in ruins, and the girl wasn't actually a skeleton. Though, in a way, this might have been worse. She was spread out on the floor on the other side of the mini table. Her breathing was mixed in with some weird gurgling sounds. I hesitantly looked at her. The saint that saved me from the hell I was in last night had puked in the middle of her sleep. What was I supposed to do here? As a guest, I couldn't really be too harsh on her.
ちえみちゃん。
She wasn't waking up. Well, I'd just do what little I could. There. That should be good enough. I'd used tons of toilet paper to clean up her mess and flush it down the toilet. It left a stain on the floor, but it was dirty to begin with, so whatever. I'd even wet a towel and cleaned her face. Even then, she showed no signs of waking up. Some of it was on her hair and clothes, but I figured it was best if she took care of that herself.
ちえみちゃん。
朝
The first hint of consciousness so far today.
ちょっと出ておくから。
Without waiting for a response, I walked to the entrance. She'd have to take a shower and change and all that, so I'd kill time outside. I stepped into my still damp shoes with my bare feet. My socks were in the washing machine with the towel she gave me to wipe my legs, and reached for the doorknob. I opened the door and was greeted by a gust of wind. The raindrops gathering on the leaves of the tree next to the building flew right into my face, making me grimace. The rain from last night was already over, the sky was pretty clear, but despite that, I noticed the visibility of my surroundings was poor. The building was surrounded by leaves. The old structure was basically buried in the forest of trees, about as tall as itself. There were branches poking into the exposed hallway. It almost felt like they'd reach out and grab me if I wasn't careful. I kind of felt like I was in an overgrown ruin. I turned around and saw the room enchant me just as I left them. Yeah, it was all real. I closed the door. There were other rooms in this building, which made me wonder if they were occupied. Hell, I wondered the same thing about the area in general. I pushed branches aside to see if there were other buildings nearby. Suddenly, something entered my vision. It didn't feel right. Something that shouldn't have been there. The leaves I moved revealed a woman clad in curious clothing. The moment I recognized her as such, she opened her closed eyes. Did our eyes meet? Another strong wind. I shielded my face from the spray of raindrops. When I looked outside again, the woman was nowhere in sight. Spooky. Was that our, tutorial lady? Was that Rokako? Rakoka? Rokako. I don't remember. I need to go back and check. I might have to write her down, actually. I don't think I did that. Tutorial lady. Just as a placeholder, right? I don't know anything else yet. Actually, let me, give me one more second. Okay. I'm back. Gotta say, of all the visual novels, or visual novel-like games I've played so far on this channel, this one definitely feels like the most, feels most intensive on my throat, just, speaking so much. So, yeah, I just had to, I needed a lozenge or something, just, because my throat's starting to get sore, but not anything too bad, so, alrighty, let's continue. When I looked outside again, the woman was nowhere in sight. Was that an illusion? Maybe, maybe not. This is a whole new story, and I don't know what the, I don't know what the nature of the supernatural is in this story, so we're gonna have to see. If not, then what? Just, you know, it was cosplay. Just a girl, eccentric girl, wandering the forest in cosplay, of course. What kind of place was this? It could have been a real Hicksville, a marginal village, a bunch of actual ruins, or an illegal settlement. I had some theories, but I set them aside for now. It seemed like a place worth exploring regardless. Oh, okay, so we get a better look at this apartment building, and it is just in the nature. It's just there, huh? Yeah. Huh. Ruins is the vibe I'm sort of getting at this point. I went down the stairs and found no sign of the woman, or anyone else for that matter. A short distance away from the building, I turned around, and sure enough, it was pretty much covered in trees. I went to the place where I saw the woman. There were footprints in the grass here. Maybe I'd find her if I followed them. It led me to an open area. It was unused, but it looked like someone was trying to do something with it. Was it supposed to be a construction site? Yeah. Even if it was clearly abandoned. There were large rocks of sediment and lots of settlement near the prefab. From what I could tell, there had been a giant landslide which forced them to stop construction. The fact that plant growth was still minimal meant that it happened fairly recently. I have a thought, but I'm going to keep it to myself for now. The footprints seem to be going down the hill next to the site. Following them, I finally saw something that could be called civilization. There was a set of paddy fields with houses nearby. So this actually was a settlement. What a relief. I decided to keep following the footprints and approach the settlement. And I came across another unpaved path that was clearly used by people in cars. It was lined with weeds and bushes reaching up to my waist. It was home to caterpillars, grasshoppers, among other things. Spiders were no exception. There was no shortage of insects here, so it was a good place for a net. I wasn't particularly scared of spiders, but I didn't like them either. At least they were just harmless orb weavers. Regardless, I avoided these bushes just in case and followed the path like a good city boy I was. There was a large boulder, surrounded by grass. It was strangely tall, making it look like it was put there by people. On its dewy surface there was a gray tree frog, ready to go after the many insects scattered about. I walked a bit further and came across a house and a small field nearby. The field's location made it safe to assume it belonged to the inhabitants. If there were inhabitants, anyway. I couldn't see anyone. And, just like always, there was grass everywhere. There was another boulder standing next to the house. This one was obviously placed there by human hand. What was the point? Was it a monument or something? The footprints continued into the field. Look at this. The wet mud on the field was full of small, young, but healthy-looking rice plants. If you ignored the standing boulders in the area, the place looked like a normal farming village. I was both relieved and worried at the same time. From what I saw, there weren't any other buildings besides the one in the settlement. Everything beyond was just mountains, meaning that this place was completely isolated. And I was a complete outsider. There were no way things would go well if I just ran into a random local. I belatedly crouched to hide myself a bit. On the one hand, I sort of see what you're saying, Hazwaki? Why am I getting confused? But on the other hand, making yourself look like you're up to no good may not be the best course of action. It was probably best for me to go back. Yeah. Being with a local who can vouch for you would be much better. Chammy might have been looking for me. Suddenly, I heard a sound. I looked for a source. I don't know. For some reason that gave me pause, and I kind of wanted to hear it play out. Anyway, I looked for its source and found a speaker on a wooden utility pole near the middle of the plaza. There's a plaza. A morning broadcast? I'd never heard this tune before. It was cheerful at first, but had some parts that seemed really dark. I found it unsettling. Perplexed, I stopped walking, and what happened next made me hide myself. There was a person in the area densely surrounded by houses, but they weren't normal. What was with that appearance? What was that on her face? Though I was a fair distance away, I could see an old woman with some sort of cloth over her face shakily walk out between the buildings. Oddly enough, there were boulders even there. But even weirder was the fact that she walked up to one of them, lightly joined her hands, and bowed her head before it, her face still hidden. Then, all was silence. It actually looked like she was revering it. To me, it looked like she was praying to it. This was bad. Really bad. I'd wandered into a settlement with a unique culture, to put it lightly. Forget causing trouble. An outsider like me could get killed here. I just turned around and ran for it. Our main character is aware of certain tropes, I feel. Although, to be fair, I think I'd be quite cautious. I probably wouldn't even leave Chami's room if it were me. I dashed up the hill, past the house, through the construction site, until I arrived back at the apartment building. Chami looked like a relatively reasonable person. Maybe she could tell me what was up. It just hit me that the way she described this place was somewhat weird. She basically said it wasn't normal.
あるいはちえみちゃんが恐るべき殺人鬼で僕を酔っ払わせてぶっ殺す。
はあ、ヤマンバいいね。ブッシュブッシュ殺しちゃう。
No way. What if she was actually the bait they were used to lure outsiders here? Eventually the broadcast stopped. I sort of get... I mean... I sort of get where he's coming from. I feel like he's taken a few more steps further than might be reasonable. But I do think it's fair to be cautious and weary of this sort of thing. Being in an entirely unfamiliar place, unfamiliar customs. But I'm not sure I would just immediately jump to the girl I just met is bait for these villagers to kill me. I don't know. I feel like he's taking it a bit too far just to start out here. Chemi still hadn't come out of her room. She didn't respond even when I knocked or called her out to her. I didn't have to worry about this, right? That just made my inexplicable unease grow worse. What if this was a trap? Was I in a dangerous situation? I had to talk to her. If she was a normal person, anyway. Maybe my best option was to run away right now. I wouldn't know where to run. I couldn't remember the path we'd taken here. Though I was pretty sure we went uphill, so maybe I had to go down? If I avoided the settlement and went back to the mountain stream, I could escape by following the wild roads. That was my best option, even with the difficulties considered. Thankfully, I'd taken my bag with me. I took out a 5,000 yen note and put it in Chami's newspaper box. It was payment for last night's beer. The moment I turned around to take my leave, the door to the room next to the staircase opened slightly with a creak. And I saw an eye glaring at me through the gap. Her high-pitched screams pierced my eardrums. I, too, was scared shitless, and ran for it. Suddenly, I stepped into the wet hallway floor at a bad angle. I fell. Thud, thud, thud.
はるちゃんどうした？
誰このおっちゃん。 あなた誰ですか？っていうか大丈夫ですか？
The reasonable sounding voice prompted me to shake off the pain and raise my head. There were two boys in formal looking school uniforms.
大丈夫ですか？
He repeated the question.
ああ、ちょっと驚いただけで。
おっちゃん、知恵姉の友達？
Chiene.
ああ、ちえみちゃんのことか。
大学のお知り合いですか？お知り合いが来るなんて聞いてなかった。
いや、いろいろあって助けられたんだ。怪しいものじゃないんだ。怪しく見えるだろうけど。
怪しいな、おっちゃん。
どうすればいいのかな。とりあえず、名前は久石春明と言います。
Haruaki. Yeah.
僕は織部安永です。こっちは鴨志田近持。
Oh boy, this is gonna take a while. Yosunaga Oribe Chikamochi Komoshida. I'm curious if I know in some of the previous games I've played here, names and names or names of places or names of people can have specific meanings. I'm curious if any of these have that sort of thing. Or rather than meanings, just names can have certain connotations to them. So, if there's any subtlety like that, I'm probably going to be missing out on it. But that's just the nature of, this sort of thing.
モッチーだ。
Mochi. Alright, nice to meet you, Mochi. Good to know. If I call him that, maybe he'd stop calling me old man. I was only 24.
それでこっちが。春ちゃん何してんの？
だって知らない人が。
Apparently, this Haru-chan was the person who'd looked at me through the gap in the door and screamed.
とりあえず大丈夫そうだから出ておいでよ。
A moment later, she slammed the door shut, and after a few moments of hesitation, opened it again. Haru Makishima, who is very weary of strangers, it seems. Whoa. She looked like a student too, except her fashion sense was exceptionally flashy.
あなた、誰ですか？
久石春明と言って、この近くでバイクで事故って、芹沢千恵美さんに助けられたんだ。
え、それって、もしかして、昨日の夜、知恵姉の部屋に。
あ、うん。止めてもらった。
She cut my words short with her ear-piercing shriek.
通りで騒がしかったと思った。何考えてるの？嫁入り前の女性の家に不潔。
You know, I agree entirely, Haru. It's unwholesome. That's what it is.
ああ、うん。それはその通りで、僕もちょっと躊躇はしたんだけど、千恵美ちゃんが親切で。
ちえみちゃん？あれなるし。それじゃあもしかして、ちえ姉が出てこないのって。ドアに5000円挟んであるじゃん。
久石さん、まさか。
違う。単に昨日お酒をおごられたから、そのお返しで。
I'm not sure that sounds... Well, it may sound a bit better, but that still sounds a bit suspect.
ちえ姉の体が5000円ってそんな安いわけないでしょ。ただれてるな。
The hell were these kids saying?
ああ、君、助けてくれないか。
初対面で女性の部屋でお酒を飲んだんですか？そして知恵姉は出てこない。
Well, she might still be knocked out on the floor, essentially. Crap. I have no allies here.
一体何事？
Oh, could this be salvation? And so the subject of the conversation joined in.
おおちえみちゃん、君からも事情を説明。
Okay, now don't. She seems a bit dazed still. Please don't say something that they're going to misinterpret. Something off was about her aura. Oh, maybe still out of it. What happened to the lively girl she'd been yesterday?
知恵ねえ、まさか。
恥ずかしいとこを見られちゃった。
おお、いやちょっと待って、ちょっと。
もう嫁いけない。
I knew it. I knew she'd say something like this. Man, what a mess. Though Chammy's face was all pale, she was actually grinning. She obviously had a bad hangover, but that didn't stop her from messing around. After calming everyone down, Chammy explained what actually happened. How we met in the middle of the night, how she let me stay out of goodwill, how we drank ourselves silly, and how nothing happened between us.
いやー、久々に深酒しちゃって思いっきり吐いちゃったよ。春明さん、お見苦しいとこ申し訳ない。
Okay. I think I'm actually going to call it here on this one. Last time we had to deal with the tutorial and all that stuff, so I think it's been about a similar amount of time for actual content. And man, my throat's getting really sore, guys. So I'm just gonna pause here. And so let's see what we have. We have a isolated rural Japanese village. We have this abandoned apartment building with young kids, I guess. Two of them certainly seemed young enough to just be called kids. We had a strange song, if you could call it that, being played. And then we had at least one example of a villager, an old woman, wearing a peculiar garb, seeming to pray to the various large stones that appear to have been placed around the village. We also saw what may have been Tutorial Lady or may not have been her. And it does seem that it wasn't an illusion. There were footprints, so it seemed like she is real. But I mean, these kids seem normal as far as we can tell. So I'm not sure that Haruaki's initial impression of, crazy isolated village doing human sacrifices or, something. I'm not sure what precisely he had in mind, but there seemed to be at least, if Chiemi and these kids are anything to go by, the area seems to be somewhat normal, even if they have some unique aspects to them. We'll just have to see. I feel like we're going to be in the introductory phase for quite a while here. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to end it here. I'm going to write down the names of all those kids and try to take some notes regarding what we've seen so far and what we've heard. Obviously, one of the big things that brought my attention was her mention of wolves. And we've had two other mentions of wolves so far. One was in the tutorial referencing the game Werewolf along with Mafia. So obviously there's a connection there. Plus on the main menu screen, there looks like to be a werewolf. So I don't know if there's going to be literal werewolves or if it's just a play on that, game. We're just going to have to see. So, yeah. Alrighty, let's call it. Hope you're all doing all right. I've been the Worm. This has been Raging Loop. Excited to see what comes next. All right, see you then.